Okay, here is a slice of an oak log that I had from a tree that was cut down in my backyard. I had to clear some trees that were getting too big next to the house. So this one's about 14 inches from there to there and about 21 inches diagonal. So obviously it will fit on the lathe with end up about 14 inches. I'm gonna try and core something. We'll see how that goes. So in any case, I'm gonna probably make them both this side up, but I might change my mind after I start the second one. But in any case, I got to it won't fit on the lathe without knocking the corners off. So I'll drill a hole here where my woodworm screw will go, and then I'll spin this on my circle jig on the bandsaw and cut off the tips, so it'll be mostly around at maybe 14 or so inches in diameter. So in any case, that's where I am, and so I got two nice pieces, and you can kind of see it's a little darker in the middle half, and then it's lighter out here and here. It shows up more on the other end of the log, but overall it looks pretty interesting. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna cut this with the circle jig. Okay, I'm gonna start on my giant chunk of oak. Came from the backyard. They cut the trees down. I had a whole, like 7 trees cut. Okay, I've got this oak piece that I had started turning a few days ago, and I didn't want it to dry out too fast, so I put a bag over it. Well, as you can see from this picture, it started to grow some mold, and so I'll machine that off and definitely wear my dust mask and so on. But in any case, there's quite a bit of it here. I can wipe it off, but it'll probably come off pretty easy. But that's just one more thing about woodworking. Okay, on this oak log, you can see the pith is like right about here, and there's a lot of cracks radiating from there that I've filled with a little bit of sawdust and a lot of medium CA glue. And you can see here I'm quite a few, but if I flip it all the way around to the other side, there's not much there. We'll see how well I got it filled by the time I machine the side walls. There'll probably be some cracks on the inside here and here. You can see them on this top. You can't really see them in this view, but they'll definitely be in the whole wall if I stay up here. Now, theoretically, I guess I could pull the wall down to here, make the bowl shorter by 1.5 inches, 2 inches. I kind of like this stuff, and it doesn't change how deep this is. So this kind of limits how far I can go with the internal space. So this might be a very, very heavy bowl. And here I've left the bark on. I haven't put super glue on here yet, but I most likely will put it on this edge. And there is no, but I've machined away the tops of all of the bark, but I'm in the middle of the bark here. So my intent is to leave it here. I'm going to form a tenon or a mortise on the bottom, and then I'm probably going to turn it around, get the top shaped the way I want it, and then core it. And we'll see how that goes, because I might not have a small enough coring thing or big enough one or whatever, because this is like 14.5 inches in diameter right here, and I think I have the 13 something, so, and the 16 something. Obviously the 16, if I use the 16, it's going to be very shallow and it'll be a very flat bowl. If I use the 13, we'll see. In any case, I'm going to try that once I get a little farther along. Well, I put epoxy and sawdust, or not epoxy, CA glue and sawdust in the top of, or the two ends of this. We'll see how it goes, and let it sit for a little while. And I'll probably do it again when it probably cracks again on me, because I'm going to hollow this out, but I got to hollow it out soon, rather than late. I'm going to flatten off this surface. It's obviously not on the camera view, so I might not record very much here. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to hollow it out. Turn it around. Okay, I'm getting ready to hollow this out, so we'll see how it goes. Well, it looks like it made it in, so I guess we'll see how it goes. It's a little jammed up. Okay, here's the pieces. So you can see what that looks like. There's a nice radius on there. I'll have to flatten this bottom off, smooth this all out, make this hollow. I'll get rid of as much of this yellow drip as I can. I think it's pretty soft. I might harden some of it up once I get done with some super glue. Of interest is that the wall thickness is about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch here where this bark inclusion is, inclusion of bark. And so there's a big gap right there. It gets pretty thin, but it's not so thin that it's too small. 1/2 to 3/4. Well, this is the final result of my half of a log bowl, almost 14 inches or 13 something. It took me a long time. A lot of things have been interfering with me turning, and as you'll see if you look back, I haven't put out a video in several months. I've been busy doing other things, and I hadn't had a chance to do that. I haven't even looked at other people's videos in a while, so I'm behind on keeping track of what's going on. This is a oak tree, about I started with a 14-inch diameter log, split it in the middle. This is the pith. As you can see, there's the pith right there. So it's pith up here. I left it in, but I filled it with sawdust and super glue, and you can see I had a lot of cracking, which I knew was going to happen because the log was pretty green when I started here. But it's mostly filled with super glue and sawdust, and I didn't make it perfect. In other words, there's probably some voids still in there, but they aren't that significant. And you can see there's the pith real close. And the wood is nice. It turned out relatively easy. Here I have bark where I've cut a little bit of the surface off, and then there's some more live edge on the other side. I tend to make bowls like this where they're kind of thick, but then they have very thin spots where the bark is intruding into the interior space, and so it makes a difference there. This is about 13 3/4 of an inch. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head in diameter, and like 5 3/4. Yeah, 5 inches tall, maybe 6. It's got spalting in the dark area. This dark area has quite a bit of spalting in it. The light area is the heartwood, and it didn't. It cracked, but it didn't get any spalting. So only the newer wood, which I suspect is because it was damper. And I turned this not long. I mean, it wasn't very long from when I cut it or got cut down to when I turned it. So you'll see that I think somewhere in there I had bagged it to keep it from drying as fast, and that caused it to get moldy, which I think the mold was indication of that spalting happening. What else? It's been so long since I've done a video. I guess that's it for now. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe for more similar wood turning videos. Please comment on the video and I should respond.